Okay. Okay, we're about to do it all again. All right. Today's lesson, along with today's lesson. Good evening, everybody. Domestic violence with the counsel, Mr. James Horton. Today we're going to talk about, we'll continue to do this thing. Today we're going to be discussing making sense out of nonsense. This is today's topic. Making sense out of nonsense. How do you do that? Well, we're going to break that down. We're going to talk about it. You know, there are many times that we find ourselves saying, oh, that makes sense. You know, we find ourselves doing things, behaviors, and taking chances to just jump way out there, and we can find ourselves in someone's jail, someone's prison, someone's county jail, and it all made sense at one time. You know, maybe I needed something, maybe I wanted something, and I was willing to do anything to get it. You know, so many times you can find yourself after the fact locked down somewhere talking about it made sense. Now it was nonsense that I did whatever I did. So we have our postage up here again. Hopefully it's coming out pretty clear. If not, we'll get better. All right. It says, making sense out of nonsense. Displaying nonsense and having a lack of sense was once thought to come mostly from adolescents, babies, and many of our young adults, and the ignorant, right? The non-knowing. Today, our views and observation of people making sense out of nonsense reaches all age groups and all race categories of people. Ask yourself questions. Ask yourself questions. Ask yourself some questions. All right? It says, number one, when you became verbally and physically abusive and caught your case, when you became verbally and physically abusive and caught your case, did your behavior make sense or nonsense? After you caught your case, did it make sense or did it make nonsense that you even are caught up in such a deal with some kind of domestic issue, some kind of case, some kind of assault or whatever? Did it make sense, and was it worth it? Was it worth it? If you had to do it all over again, before your 52 weeks, if you had to do it all over again, would you do it? Some would say yes. Number two. Does it make sense or nonsense for you to return to the same residence or person you caught your domestic violence case with? Does that make sense? Many people, oh man, she ain't cool. Oh, he ain't cool. But you know, we find ourselves, we keep going back. We know that when you, in the law of domestic violence, when you get arrested, male or female, and you get arrested from your residence, and they find out if you or the other party stays together, you are not allowed to go back to that residence. You're not allowed to go there. There's even if it's a temporary, it's a temporary 30-day hold on you to where you're not allowed to go back. If you get arrested tonight and go to jail and you bail out before you even go to court, you cannot go back to your residence. You still may have to pay that rent. You still have to pay the light bill and all the other bills, the cable, if you have it, but you cannot go back to your residence once our arrest has taken place and you've gone to jail, right? So, number three, if your significant other were to cheat on you with a stranger, would it make sense or nonsense for you to find a stranger also to cheat with you? Would that make sense? If your partner, if your significant other, if your loved one, your love buddy, whatever your sex partner, whatever thing y'all got going on, your spouse, if they were to cheat on you, does it make sense to you to go and find someone, some stranger, some whoever, right, outside the box that you don't even know, and go on and have sex with them? Is that a fix for you? You know, I know it can be very dangerous. It can be very dangerous. And that person, that stranger, that whoever that you might find yourself sleeping with, bring the sickness in your home, in your house, and in your inner system once you lay down with that person. All right? Number 4, 52 weeks. I'm calling you all 52 weeks. I'm calling you 52 weeks. So listen up to this. All right? It says 52 weeks. Does it make sense or nonsense to immediately jump into a relationship with someone you don't know based on the decision on what they look like? Does it make sense or nonsense to immediately jump into a relationship with someone you don't know based just on their look, their shape, their height, their weight, whatever turns you on? Does that make sense? Does it make sense or nonsense? Because it can actually get you here in this domestic arena. In this domestic arena, it can get you here. Right? Does that make sense? You know, ooh, but they look good though. They look good. I mean, they got that little rash on her neck, but she can always wear a turtleneck and cover it up. He can always wear a turtleneck and cover his up. I mean, but other than that, they look good. And we dive right in without doing any investigation, asking any questions, looking their name up on the internet, find out if they got a history of this and a history of that. Bring them home. Hey, tell the kids, hey, this your new daddy. Tell the kids, hey, this your new mama. I mean, that kind of stuff. You don't even know the person, but yet they look good. It look like it's going to feel good if you get too good. All right? Number 5. Does it make sense or nonsense for you to hurt or beat someone you claim to love? Does it make sense or nonsense for you to hurt or beat someone you claim to love? Many people say, oh, I love her though. I love him though. You love. I hear you. But if you do some studying on what love is, you will find out, like many have some have had to find out later or too late, that love don't hurt. Love don't parade itself, and love don't seek no evil. So what you're doing is actually not love. So maybe you want to do some homework on self. Find out what love is, and once you find out, lock into it, practice on it a little bit, and then pray on it. Maybe you be ready to spread some of that what you've learned with somebody else instead of the domestic issues. All right? Number 6. Does it make sense or nonsense for you to stay current and updated in your relationships? Does it make sense or nonsense for you to stay current and updated in your relationship? What does that mean, staying current? Well, when you first meet your partner, when we first meet our partner, when a man first meets a woman, when a woman first meets a man, there's a lot of wonderful things that take place. They're going out times, and they're let's go do this, or let's go on a vacation together, or let me buy you something. Let me treat you to something. Let me go and buy you some candy. Let me do some things to express that I'm thinking about you, that I love you, and all things like that. And no one else is more important than my partner. You know what I mean? No one else. As far as in that arena. We're not talking about the kids. We're talking about in that arena as far as relationship goes. But one must remember that what it took to get him, what it took to get her, it also takes that to keep them. It also takes that to keep them. So are you staying current and updated in the process of relationship? Or is that stuff that got old? Ask yourself. Number 7. Does it make sense or nonsense for you or your long-term relationship partner to credit yourselves for the good you've done in the early part or early stages of your relationship over the bad things? I mean, many times we can find ourselves, hey, I had a job, I've known, not going to go too much there, but, you got that kind of thing in families, right? Somebody have a job. Person over here might have a job when you first meet that person. And it might be doing a lot of wonderful things for you. But you might find yourself 20 years later that first year that you had a job. All the rest of the years, you ain't been working or you ain't been doing as the other person has been doing. But yet, we can always go back and say, what did I do for you when I first met you? And you say, you mean back in 1984, 85, 86? He said, yeah. We said, that's over 20 years ago. That's over 20 years ago, 20 plus. You know, so I think we need to remember that old stuff, you know, and you got to think too, what comes to mind as I'm speaking with you guys is Janet Jackson's song. You know, it was a Janet Jackson song that came out way back when, and it says, what have you done for me lately? Right? So one must remember to not keep talking about the old and make some new stuff happen. All right? Number 8. Does it make sense or nonsense when you're in a relationship with someone you love for you or your partner to allow your friends to be a part of everything you do in your relationship? Does it make sense for you or your partner, right, to always have your friends over at the house, to always have your friends when it's time to go somewhere, all in the mix with you, him, and her, or whoever, right, your partner? Does it make sense to bring the neighborhood in your house, right? Many people with different levels of immaturity will find themselves, right, always bringing so-and-so home. That's a dangerous kind of thing. That's a very dangerous kind of thing, because in relationships there are going to be times where you're not getting along. There are going to be times where you might not be speaking with your partner in your relationship. And it'd be very unhealthy to have your opinionated friends over the house while all this is going on. It'd be very unhealthy to have this audience sitting out there watching, listening, laughing, and all the things that they're doing. Sitting like they're sitting in the audience, eating popcorn, taking score, and all that. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff is very, very unhealthy. You'll be looking at it and be like, there's 2 points for him. There's, she just got 20 points. Did you hear what she said to him? And all that kind of stuff. So you really want to work things out between you and your partner, you know, and take little breaks, little walkaways sometimes, go out by some marina, out by the water, whatever. Cool off sometimes. Try not to go to bed mad, right? Try not to do that, all right? Number 9, we're closing out. It says, does it make sense or nonsense when you're in a relationship with someone you love for you or your partner to allow your friends, excuse me, my apologies. Number 9, does it make sense or nonsense if God were to send you someone who is committed, honest, and loving to you, for you to be committed, honest, and loving to them? Does it make sense if you find somebody that's committed to being honest and faithful and loving towards you? Does it make sense to also be that to them? If not, right, and if this makes sense, my question to you all is, why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you doing it? If you've gotten that lovely package of a person to come in your life that wants to do all kind of wonderful things, why would you put in your mind that I can replace that person at any time? That God didn't send me that person, or God sent me that person and I don't appreciate it. You know what happens many times, just like around the time of Christmas. If you buy children toys, right, and those are blessings from their parent, from their father, whatever, and their parent, and God is our Father. So you get these presents for Christmas. Many times, children with immaturity, they play with the toy for 1 or 2 days, and sometimes a week. And after they play with that toy, they throw the toy in the closet. Many people's closets are filled with toys, right? Closed up, locked up, got dust all on because they don't appreciate it, right? They don't appreciate it. And you must ask yourself, are you throwing your relationship partner in the closet and not appreciating them? One thing we must do is have some appreciation for self and others to keep something to last. All right? All right, that's it for today's lesson and today's blessing. Once again, yours truly, the counselor, Mr. James Horton. Thank you.